Good morning and welcome. Thank you for being here. My name is Todd Gleason. I'm farm broadcaster from the University of Illinois. I work for Extension there. You can hear me on the air at WILL in the afternoon. And so I'm here today to talk about conservation on this Art and Science of Soil Health Advocacy in Action Day. I'm really happy to be here. The first person I'd like to introduce is Tom Beyer. He's with the Association of Illinois Soil and Water Conservation Districts, and Tom is the board president. Good morning to you, Tom.
Thank you, Todd. Since he's introduced me, I won't duplicate that. I'm not going to take very much time. But on behalf of all the soil and water conservation districts across great state of Illinois, and on behalf of the statewide association, I welcome you. I'm glad you're here. We're excited about these events that we've had the last couple of days. I want to recognize especially those directors that took time out of their busy days and the staff to come, and the ag partners that are around here. We certainly appreciate all your support. Thank you for coming. And with that, Todd, I'm going to step aside because a lot of these other folks got a lot more important things to say than I do, and I'll relinquish my last 30 seconds to Dr. Lyons.
When I'm going to guess that Dick Lyons will take that 30 seconds. Up next, Becky Taylor is here along with Sarah Earls. They're with the Illinois Soil Water Conservation Districts Employees Association, and I believe Sarah has a few words for us. Sarah?
Hello, I'm Sarah Earls with Ford County Soil and Water Conservation District, and this is Becky Taylor from Livingston County Soil and Water Conservation District. Today, I would like for, if you are a soil and water employee, to raise your hand or to stand up. And today, we, as well as the ones with their hands raised, are here to represent the employees from the 97 soil and water districts from this great state of Illinois. We are the first point of contact when entering our offices. Many of us are working in the same communities that we grew up in. Because of that, we become the familiar and trusted face for farmers, ranchers, and landowners. Whether it's working with the landowners and producers to treat soil erosion in their fields, establish practices to filter water leaving their farms, or creating a wildlife habitat, we are there explaining and guiding. From field work to survey and design practices to reduce soil erosion, or assisting with establishment of pollinator habitats or field borders benefiting quail and pheasants, to planning workshops and teaching children about various things in their world around them. Our passion for conservation and safeguarding Illinois' natural resources encompasses the mission and objectives of soil and water conservation districts. Soil and water conservation districts are the boots on the ground providing technical assistance to farmers and safeguarding Illinois' natural resources. Thank you for your continued support.
Up next, Representative Charlie Meyer and Jason Bunting are here. Charlie is responsible for the Soil Health Week, and he is a sponsor of that in part here. Thank you, Charlie. You're from Oakville. Thank you for being here. We appreciate that. And the floor is yours.
I always wonder what I'm going to say and how I'm going to start off. So this morning, one of our house employees was in my office, and he said, I always love that sign up on the wall. And my sign was given to me by the Murray parents, and it says, on the 8th day, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a caretaker, so I made a farmer. I love that sign. It's on my wall in my office. Some of you seen that earlier when you're in there braiding my ski out of my refrigerator. But, you know, we're here today celebrating what God's given us, the soil that we have in Illinois, some of the most productive soil in the world. Mine in southern Illinois isn't quite as good as around here, but we feed our families, we take care of it, we nurture it. We want to make sure the next generation inherits a soil and a land and a legacy that's better than the one we inherited. That's what most farmers are trying to do. It's what we're trying to do here in Springfield. I'm happy to work with the Department of Ag. Jerry Costello is a farmer colleague of mine in the House. We work well together. We're here to try to make a difference, make things better, and we have to worry. The next generation and the generation after, we've been on our farm for 5 generations. We want to make sure it's there for another 5 generations. So we thank you for coming today to support soil health. We will try to get this where it's it's permanent and we don't have to vote on it annually. But thank you and have a great day in the Capitol.
How are you, Todd? Well, hello, everybody. These are my people. These are my people. It was a true honor to carry Senator Kaler's Senate Bill 2325 in the House because many of you know my mom and dad, Lee and Marie Bunting. My siblings and I watched our mom and dad advocate for soil and water conservation districts for the last 4 decades. The bill that we passed, both the Senate and the House unanimously last year, amends the Soil and Water Conservation District Acts. It provides that the Soil and Water Conservation Districts may request that an Illinois Department of Transportation install a sign related to the district on a new or an existing pole in the right-of-way at the cost of the district. Farmers are amazing at growing a crop to feed, fuel, and clothe the world while continuing to conserve our most precious resources, the land and the water. What they are not the best at, unfortunately, is tooting their own horn. I truly believe this bill will help with the public perception. It is key to promoting the quality conservation work we as farmers and our associates do on a day-to-day basis, showing our friends and our neighbors that conservation districts work tirelessly to protect our land for the next generation. That is our #1 goal. Just like Representative Myers said just recently, you do have advocates in the House of Representatives. You got 6 farmer members that will fight for you day in and day out. Continue to work hard at your craft. Continue to promote what you do. And do not ever be afraid to toot your own horn. All the best, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Jason Bunting. I must admit, Jason, that I'm really looking forward because I am on the back roads of Illinois traveling all over with University of Illinois Extension to research plots and educational functions across the state, to finding those signs, to really finding those signs and seeing them. They are the kinds of things that I look for. I hope that you do as well. Jerry Costello is here. He is the director of the Department of Agriculture in the state of Illinois. Jerry, thank you. All the work that you've done. I've been at the Department of Ag several times over the last several years, hosting programs that you and Dr. Michael Woods have put together related to conservation. And it warms my heart every time I am there, and I'm thinking about what this means to future generations of farmers and taxpayers, for that matter, in the state of Illinois. Give a nice warm welcome to Jerry Costello. Thanks, Jerry.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be here with you on Soil Health Week. I want to tell you, as Representative Meyer mentioned earlier, I had the privilege and honor to chair Ag and Conservation in the House for about 5.5 years. Representative Meyer was the minority spokesperson. He has been such a true supporter of farmers, of soil health. I just wanted to make sure that I mentioned that because Charlie has always been somebody who's willing to reach out and work in a very bipartisan way. Representative Bunting and I have a good relationship. Haven't known him in this side of his career that long, but knew him previously with the Farm Bureau. He's also been a huge advocate for soil health. So really wanted to mention that about the two of them. How about a big round of applause as well for everything that is going on when it comes to soil health in the state of Illinois. We have this administration has what I would call an unprecedented commitment to soil health and the environment. I mean, a big round of applause for yourselves. And the monumental steps that are taking place here in the state of Illinois. I want to mention a few of those. Obviously, Senate Bill 1701, a bill that was passed last year, signed into Public Act. That bill, I want you to be aware, there's $250,000 reflected in the budget to make sure that we appropriate monies to carry out that bill. I would also like to bring up our Fall Covers for Spring Savings program here in the state of Illinois. I want to put that in perspective for you all. 5 years ago, it was 50,000 acres. It took 12 days to fill those 50,000 acres. This year, we filled 140,000 acres in 38 minutes. We had 241,000 acres that were subscribed for. So our goal is to build that program, to keep growing, and to make sure that cover crops are something that any farmer that can practice, they are practicing planting cover crops. It's an area that the environmental community, the agricultural community can work together on very, very well. Another program that I would like to talk to you about a little bit are our conservation planners and our conservation planner program. And first, what I'd like to do is give Dr. Michael Woods credit for everything he did to get this program off the ground. One of the things that Governor Pritzker asked me to do when he asked me to take this position was to go after as much federal money as we possibly could. Dr. Woods helped us with this grant. We took about $3.5 million of state funds, and we were able to access over $9 million of federal funds to hire 40 conservation planners in the state of Illinois. So at the outset of the program, we were going to hire 25 the first year, the additional 15 in the second year. It's been so efficient, we were able to bring on 40 conservation planners in the very first year. I would also tell you, and this is probably the part that I am the most pleased about, 11 of those conservation planners have gone on to other conservation jobs. And unlike a normal situation where you hire somebody and you don't want them to leave, this program is designed to be a conduit or a pipeline into conservation, to train people that hopefully they have an occupation and a career in conservation for the rest of their lives. They've gone on to NRCS, gone on to the Department of Agriculture, non-governmental organizations like Ducks Unlimited, our soil and water conservation districts. So this has been an extremely incredible program. And I will tell you, we are hoping, and I believe, I'm going to be positive, that we'll have an extension on that program. So I think we could have a couple years extended, and there's no reason to think that this, knock on wood, is ever going to stop. We'll keep growing the program and keep putting people into the conservation pipeline. Lastly, one of the things that we're really working hard to do as well is work with our Soil and Water Conservation District employees to incentivize them with training and education to make sure when these grants and federal monies come down the pipe that we're in a position to be able to use those and receive those. I can personally tell you the commitment that the Pritzker administration, that I have to soil and water conservation, that I have to just soil health in general in this state, it's something that is immensely important to me. Our department, it's immensely important to us. Without the soil that we have here in the state of Illinois, agriculture wouldn't be nearly what it is. It's the #1 industry in our state. It's about a $25 billion annual economic impact. We're the #1 producer of soybeans in the country. We're the #2 producer of corn in the country. We're the #1 producer of pumpkins. We're the #1 producer of horseradish. Illinois is an incredible place to live. It's an incredible place to be a farmer, and we have to respect and make sure that our soil stays healthy. There are no better stewards of the land, in my opinion, than farmers. Let's make sure we practice it.
You know, because I'm on campus and I work with the researchers there, it is important that the stakeholders, the Department of Ag, the farmers, the Illinois Nutrient Research Education Council, and others are always involved in the process. I have been in the fields with all the researchers, or many of them, across the state, and they depend on all kinds of things from the state government, the federal government, and private and public funding altogether. And it makes a huge difference. I will say this about the researchers. They are all dedicated to their areas of expertise, and they all are dedicated to agriculture in the state of Illinois without question, that they really do try their very hardest. And they're also dedicated to trying to make producers and others more conservation oriented in everything that they do. They're always working for efficiency. Conservation is one of those. Julie Hewitt is now here. She's with the Illinois INREC, that's the Nutrient Research and Education Council. Please give her a nice warm welcome.
Thank you, Todd. As he said, I'm with the Illinois Nutrient Research and Education Council, and I'm pleased to be here on behalf of our board of directors to talk to you for just a minute about the investments that Illinois farmers and retailers make into research around water quality and soil health through INREC. For those that aren't aware of the program, we were actually created by state statute, and we appreciate all of the support that we had through that. But we were created back in 2012. Farmers pay an assessment on the fertilizer that they use. That comes into the organization. And since we started in 2012, we've been able to invest over $35 million on behalf of Illinois farmers and retailers into nutrient research. And we're very pleased to be able to work with our board of directors, which are actually appointed by Director Costello to represent different organizations throughout our industry. But again, that investment, because we know that soil health is important, we know that water quality is important, but we also know that there's so much of it, as Michael would say, the art, and we're the science part of that piece of the puzzle, and making sure that we have research that is tested, not just at a university level, but also on farms, so that we can make sure we're making recommendations, again, to farmers and researchers for practices that meet the agronomic, economic, and especially the environmental needs of our farms. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Carly. Give Steve Steerwalt a nice warm welcome, please.
Well, thank you so much, Todd. He's been great for us, and we really appreciate what you do for conservation. But one thing that I wanted to just start out with: what a great time it is to be a conservationist. It really is. So some of us have been, I've been with conservation, since I think 27 years, something like that, working with districts. And never in that time have there's been such opportunity to really make a difference in conservation. The work that we're getting from the state of Illinois, the support that we're getting from the federal government, and every industry and government at every level, recognizes that generations growing up now are, for them, conservation, soil health, conservation is not an option. It is expected. And so everyone is trying how to figure out how to, respond to that demand. And so it's been, anytime there's something has changed, and shall we say, in Michael kind of had this set up to where there's going to be 3 farmers, and guess which end of the generation I got? I'm the old guy, so. But I do remember when I was a young guy, I loved to plow. The smell of the soil and stuff like that, it was great. But I do also remember, I wondered why the fence rows got higher. I thought, well, that grass must be catching the dirt, but no, it was the field was getting lower. And so there's been several of those kind of things. I had a great opportunity to go to school at the University of Illinois and in agriculture, and there was no talk about soil health. We did not understand at that time. We were going to save the world with putting on more fertilizer. We're producing for the world. There's not going to make any more land. We didn't know about Brazil at that time, and so, that was kind of the way it was. But it's been so great for an old guy like me to really see that there is so much going on in that soil. I don't know what, I've heard terms like a teaspoon of soil has more live organisms than there are people on Earth. You have healthy soil, not just soil, but healthy soil. And so it's a whole new world out there as far as, and it makes it a lot of fun for me. And one of the ways that, we've tried to respond to the demand is as Todd has alluded to, was what we call the STAR program, Saving Tomorrow's Agricultural Resources. I know Representative Meyer and Director Costello, talked about generations. And I'm getting older. I've got 3 kids and 9 grandkids, and I think about those things. What are we leaving for our next generations? Are we leaving in better shape than we found it? The farm that I grew up on, a tenant farm, was owned by a lawyer from New York. House on, lived on Park Avenue, house in Connecticut, but he would come out every year and walk the fields. He cared, and I thought, why does this New York lawyer who has all this money, why does he care? But he got it. This is our future. And so it really got me thinking about conservation from an early age. So the STAR program is designed to help try to get us to that point. It's designed for local people to make local decisions about their local resource concern. And we've looked at a lot of things all across the country, and nothing is locally driven like STAR. And so we started this in a local conservation district. It went statewide, and we had no idea of that. And we actually now have 4 states and bringing on 4 more western states. So there's an interest in what we started here in Illinois. And Julie, one of the first grants we got from your group there to help get started. So it's been very humbling for me, and I appreciate all the support. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. We'll bring up another farmer. Jeff O'Connor is here. He is a producer and on the STAR National Board. Jeff?
Steve, I guess if you're claiming to be the old farmer, and I clearly know the gentleman after me is the young farmer, that puts me somewhere in between. I'm going to make this short, but hopefully there's a point in here for you. The STAR rating system, although new to agriculture, is widely recognized by just about everyone. We've seen it used to rate hotels, to score athletes in high school as they go to college. We've used it for health services in movies, restaurant food, or ride sharing. So we're very familiar with the STAR system. So why does STAR now find itself on the edge of agriculture and looking in on the largest industry in Illinois and looking to play a meaningful role, typically dominated by conversations with bushels per acre and acres farmed? It's because that system's ease of use and very simple metrics, backed by science, can be used to gauge how well farmers are caring for the land. As a farmer myself, rapidly approaching the beginning of my 37th crop, I've long shared with those I farm for and with how each conservation practice benefits the natural resources we work with to produce grain. Through relationships, I have built a trust with them that spans time through good times and bad times. What happens, though, when that relationship is ended and in many cases is taken over by a younger generation or new landowners. Well, I've been presenting STAR to landowners, old and new. That has allowed me to remove both the emotion and the relationship from my story of these are the best practices for the land. Since 2018, I have used STAR to place an annual value that is recognized and comprehensive of the conservation practices I employ on each farm. STAR hopefully shows that stability over time, and yearly almost always shows that I have still room for improvement. Of the many attributes of STAR, perhaps my favorite is its ability to transcend an often heard phrase, and Director Costello just used it, farmers are the best stewards of the land. While this statement is absolutely true because we literally live and breathe our work every day, STAR now gives us a metric that says how well we can steward the land and how well we are stewarding the land. Going forward, my hope is that all of us, whether it's a farmer, a politician, a concerned citizen, an investor, or a business owner, that increasingly we can ask how well farmers care for our land. My own experiences have shown that I am better because the better that I care for the land, as measured by STAR scores, the higher those other farm indicators such as productivity, profitability, and soil and water management have been as well. And when I thrive, my community thrives as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. One of the fantastic things about STAR is that while Jeff may be a 4 or 5-star farmer this year, next year he might not be. And it's not because he didn't do things differently. It's because STAR adjusts with the science. And as the science gets better, as we find better ways to improve soils and the practices that we do on the farm, STAR will adjust. And you have to try to stay up with it. And I think that is as important as anything as it's related to this Saving Tomorrow's Agriculture Resources push. Our next presenter is Frank Rademacher. He's from Champaign County. He's also a farmer and a conservation agronomist. I've been on the farm there. If you want to go see cover crops in action, Frank's farm is a great place to go do it. The first time I saw a planter running through a standing cover crop was amazing. And frankly, I like the video I shot of it as well. But Frank, thank you for being here today. Give him a nice warm welcome.
Hey everybody, my name is Frank Rademacher. Like Todd said, I am a farmer and conservation agronomist with the Nature Conservancy. I was asked today to talk a little bit about our farm, our conservation journey, and what that means to us. So I do farm in East Central Illinois in Champaign County. I farmed there with my father. Over that time, we did not expect to go back to the farm, so we kind of had an unconventional path back, which is great for us because it really gave us a blank slate to choose our practices and how we wanted to implement them. And so when we took over, really the farm looked like every other East Central Illinois farm that you see. And really for us, that initial decision was really to go in a soil health direction was really based on bringing me back to the farm. And so our conversations there were, you know, this makes financial sense, right? It's a less tractors, less passes. It just made sense. And actually that conversation was started. I always like to kick it off to actually our local soil and water. They held a meeting that really captured our interest in that. And so while we initially started with what I would call a financial decision to pursue soil health, and ultimately it evolved into one that we really fell in love with and just saw all the benefits of. So, you know, year one, yeah, it's less passes, but year 2, 3, 4, and onward, you love that you see more bugs in the field. You love that you see water infiltrate, and when it doesn't, it's coming off clear. And so those things are really important to see as a farmer. And so as part of that, we feel that STAR is incredibly important for us to understand our soil health impact and also show off a little bit, to be honest. So it's nice to have those signs out there and show people what you're doing and how it ranks up. And so when I see STAR signs, when I see our own, I encourage people to think about that in a couple of different ways. There's a lot of lessons from that. The first is that it's an annual decision. Kind of like Todd said, that changes every year. So conservation, while it was an easy choice for us to make, it's a hard choice to implement, and it is a choice every single year. So when you see a farmer that's involved in that, that is a year-to-year decision that they are continuing to make. And then secondly, STAR, also like Todd said, is based on the nutrient loss reduction strategy and the science to keep nutrients out of the Gulf. And while that's great, I also like to point back that that also applies to local water. And so I work on a lot of local water projects in my position with the Nature Conservancy, and it's incredibly important that we remember those local water quality impacts as well. And so that's what those local farmers are investing in. So for all of us that work in conservation and farm, I appreciate your support of conservation. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Up next is Dick Lyons. He's with the Soil and Water Conservation Districts in Montgomery County. Dick has a lot of meaning for me. I traveled a lot of the Midwest with Dick when I was in college. He was a professor here at Lincoln Land Community College. We spent more time together in a couple of semesters than most people really ever do that aren't related, I suppose. And we just had a lot of fun. However, I will say this about Dick, that when he is behind something, that push is enormous. It's kind of like the flow of water that you cannot stop unless you find ways to conserve the energy behind it. And he's been conserving energy for this push, I think, for a while, because Dick Lyons does a lot in this area. Give Dick a nice, warm welcome.
Thanks,
Dick.
Todd. It's always nice to be around people that you know, and I've been fortunate this week to meet all these young people in the polo shirts, the light blues, on the initiative that Michael started, but it's been a really pleasure. I'm on a time limit, I want all of you to know that, and if I wasn't on the time limit, my 32 years of college teaching would have made this into a 50-minute lecture. So what I did was something really out of the ordinary. I printed off a little sheet, so I'm going to start, so be prepared. No, really, I want to start off with what I call one of the most influential quotes that really means something to our country. The history of every great nation is written in the way it treats and cares for its soil. Franklin D. Roosevelt, 1937, right at the end of the Dust Bowl or in the heart of it. Since the beginning of time, man has really relied upon the soils and the community to provide food and fiber for their well-being. In other words, it's come to the forefront of all of our thinking because soil is the beginning of everything. Famine due to drought or possibly flooding, dust from windstorms like the Dust Bowl or what happened here south of Springfield last year. The nutrient loss, something that we hear about all the time every year, if not every 2 years in our biennial report. Or just examples of the crises that occur that only through crises is soil brought to the forefront in our thinking. And that's unfortunate. As a conservation farmer from Montgomery County, Advocacy Day is very important to me because soil health is what we revolves around our farm, a fourth-generation farm of an Irish immigrant. I'm really morally moved to spread the word, to take my time, and to speak to everyone about the importance of soil health. It's a part of my soul, it's a part of my heart. That we, as farmers, as eaters, as they use the term in Sustainable Stewardship Alliance, it's important that we do have this moral obligation to soil health. So why should we advocate? Well, the most glaring example is with the fact that tillage, which destroys soil health, also destroys soil aggregation, which is the foundation of soil health. That tillage, that lack of soil aggregation, led to the loss of 8 lives on I-55, just a few miles south of Springfield. I was in the field that day. I watched the dust start up. about 9 o'clock. I was side dressing 28% on my corn. And as I looked out over the sky, you could see it begin to billow. And a part of my life is my wife. For all of you that know me, I think it's 57 years next month. So I remember that date for sure. It was April Fool's Day, which she chose an appropriate date for me and Sharon to be married. But we fooled and we stuck together. But in reality, I watched this billow up, and I called her and I said, it's starting to blow. And I called my cousin. And I found out he lived up at the Farmersville area, and he said it's north of me. And about 10:30, the black smoke rolled, and the loss of life began. Another reason, our second important reason for advocating for soil health, is the result of soil health, what it does to reduce the amount of erosion we have. If you look at the erosion that we're having across our nation, we've got to have the cover crops to hold that soil into place. We've got to prevent that valuable richness that we have from going downstream into the Gulf of Mexico. Charlie yesterday talked about the only way we could produce soil, new farmland, is you can go farm the Delta in the Mississippi River. Now that'd be a heck of a way to farm. But in reality, it's the use of cover crops that makes the difference. They're a foundation that prevents this soil from getting away. But the one I want you to all think about is the erosion that's occurring in your drinking water lake, whether in Springfield or Lake Blue Yeager in Litchfield, which is in my county, or Glen Shoals Lake in my county, all need for our farmers to use cover crops to reduce erosion. Our fourth method of improving soil health practices that we have is to reduce the greenhouse gases. This is something I never thought about it completely, but to reduce these greenhouse gases. And I think it's important because I want to give you another quote here of a man who never thought about greenhouse gases. Soil erosion is as old as agriculture. It began when the first heavy rain struck the first furrow turned by prehistoric man with a moldboard plow that he had created. It has been that going on ever since, and whenever man's culture of the earth has bared the soil to rain and water, erosion occurs. If we were in a classroom today, I would ask who that quote was, because it's made by one of the most important men for this conservation movement. That's Hugh Hammond Bennett, the first director of the Soil Conservation Service, which is now the Natural Resource Conservation Service. So important people have noticed it. Our fourth point why we need to advocate for soil health is it increases the microbial population. I never knew there was anything in the soil when I was going to college. And by the way, where's Steve at? You are definitely not the oldest of the group here, Steve. First of all, you either dye in your hair or you've got something hereditary that gives you hair color. I don't have much hair, but I'm all white. I've only farmed, and I say this in jest, I've only farmed for 52 years. That's all I've farmed. So I may not be the oldest, but I'm out there. But what I want to talk about, the last part, is these nutrients from the microbial reactivity. The microbes are so important to us. We never studied that when I was in college. Now I'm sure all the colleges are studying the microbial activity in the soil. And what the best thing it does for me, it recycles my nutrients that are already present in the soil from all the years that we raised livestock. That recycling of those nutrients keeps it on the land and not going down the river. But in closing, I really would like to say that it's been a pleasure to be a part of this for 3 years. Liz Ruppel, we're going to continue no matter what, and you're going to have this an annual event. I'd like to close with a quote from Aldo Leopold from the San County Almanac, again in 1949. So we're not on to something new here. We abuse land because we regard it as a commodity belonging to us, I'm sure. When we see land as a community in which we belong, we may begin to use it with love and respect. Your neighbors want more land. Do they love the land? I'm not sure. I do. We're going to preserve our farm. Thank you.
One of the conservation planners in the state of Illinois. Sorry about this, Megan, but Morgan. One of the conservation planners in the state of Illinois is Morgan Cobble. She is here. Thank you. She's one of those folks that Dick talked about that's in the blue shirts. Good morning or good afternoon to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Todd. My name is Morgan Cobble. I'm a conservation planner in Fayette County. I appreciate the opportunity to represent all 40 of my conservation planner teams as well as the administrative team. They're a group of really smart and hardworking people, so I'm very proud to be up here and representing them. All 40 of us are scattered throughout the state, all from the Chicago suburbs down to Pulaski, Alexander counties. So all of our workloads and priorities day to day look a little bit differently, but we all have the same goal of advancing sustainable farming. Like in our suburban counties that we are working in, we have a lot of urban agriculture opportunities down to like where I work in Fayette County, where my family also farms. We work on a lot of row crop operations and everything in between. But as Steve said, there's never been a better time to get involved in agriculture and conservation, and thanks to advocacy from people like you, there are more opportunities to get involved in conservation than ever before. And we understand that this is a big investment in time and money to work toward our conservation goals, but investing in soil health is not just an investment in agriculture, but it's an investment in our future. By connecting farmers to conservation, we are helping build a more resilient food system, a cleaner environment, and a brighter future for generations to come. Our collective goal of clean water and healthy soil can only be met by working with partners like STAR, Soil and Water Conservation Districts, INREC, IDOA, and all the other groups that have gathered here today and have partnered with us in the past. So on behalf of the Conservation Planner team, I want to express my gratitude and urge your continued support for farmers and soil health. For example, all of your dedication to passing the Senate Bill 1701 that secured funding for soil and water conservation districts is very admirable, and I look forward to seeing how we can all work together to advance soil and water conservation in the future. I want to thank all of the legislators that have joined us here today, lawmakers, and all of my colleagues for standing up for our farmers, our soil, and our future. Thank you.
One last presenter as we make our way to the 1 o'clock hour. Michael Woods is here from the Association of Illinois Soil and Water Conservation Districts, where he is the executive director. Michael?
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Todd. And I have to laugh. Morgan said to me, she said, I wish you would go before me because you could hype me up. But the reality is a presentation like that does not need to be hyped up, because that's our future, and that's an opportunity for us to celebrate the voices of our future. So thank you so much. I want to wrap up today with, I tend to be the quiet one of the group, so I like to share a little bit of enthusiasm as we move forward. I know, they continue to laugh. I agree with that. You know, I am very quiet, but I'll tell you what, we are excited about the art and the science of soil health here in Illinois. As INREC, Julie Hewitt shared with us, there's a significant amount of science behind everything we need to do to continue to advance conservation. But what we also need to know is that we need art. We need the art of bringing it all together. And we have a lot of Michelangelos throughout our communities. We call them our Soil and Water Conservation District staff. They are the ones out there in the forefront working with the producers to put that art and that science to play in our communities, and we need to express that appreciation to them. And we need to continue to showcase to our elected officials that we are making a difference and we are protecting the most important natural resources of our state, our soil and our water. And we're doing that through the people that will bring the art and the talent together. We are also want to share with you, Michelangelo once said, he says, a man paints with his brains and not his hands,
Every block of stone has a statue inside it, and it is the task of the sculptor to discover it. I contend our SWCD and our conservation specialists throughout the entire state, our new conservation planners, they are the sculptors. They're working with the producers to craft and sculpt what we want to see on our farmlands, to protect our most important natural resources in our agricultural industry. To have that, though, we need to have patrons of the arts as well. We're very fortunate that we have the Illinois Department of Agriculture leading the way, without leadership from the Department of Ag, to provide us the incentives to continue to advance our efforts. And under our Director Costello's leadership, we would not be able to move many of our new initiatives forward. So thank you so much. We appreciate your patronage support. We also know that our elected officials, yes, thank you. We also know that our elected officials here in the state have continued to showcase that need to support and further those investments to keep moving forward with providing more of the science in the field and more of the artists in the sidelines to help keep moving us forward. So thank you to everybody. We appreciate that. Everybody here that supports all of our efforts throughout the entire state, we appreciate, and we need you to even continue to be those artists and those sculptors and the patrons for providing our support. We also, without remiss, Tom showcased support earlier to our directors that continue to be the engine, the fuel behind elevating a lot of our activities throughout the 97 Soil and Water Conservation District. Thank you to each of you. We know we need to continue to gear up and support you as you support our local staff as well. So thank you so much for being here to help celebrate and bring the art and science of soil health continued throughout the state of Illinois. Appreciate it.
Indeed, the rich, dark soil of a central Illinois farm is capable of growing more than one crop. And we can do that for generation after generation after generation, but only if the rich, dark soils are in place. Thank you for being here for Soil Health Week. I appreciate all that you do. Have a great day.